Hello everyone, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Tsukihime, a piece of blue glass moon. So, last episode, Arcuade has gone berserk. She has a massive castle in the middle of the city. So anyways, let us continue. From far in the distance, deep within the transfigured city, comes a rumbling tremor. The sound of the air groaning, of the world screaming. Towards its heart she flies to face her foe. The pale vampire princess, a cataclysm given form. A single living soul races through the ashen cityscape. The ruins around her, bereft of color, serve only to mark where buildings once stood. On the roof of one such mass of rock, a literal shell of its former self, she alights. Here we go, battle time. She casts aside her habit. The impending battle will serve no humanitarian cause. She will wage all-out war until her foe is eradicated. Her weapon awaits her in its naked form, shining with a dark gleam. Being of the same stuff as Arcuade, it did not escape her phenomenon, conversion so much as it was naturally unaffected to begin with.
万が一に備えて移動させておいて正解でしたね。仕掛けますよ、セブン。断罪師への感想を済ませなさい。
But is that a new weapon? In answer, the object begins to mutate. Two firearms, a gun fitted with a bayonet, a greatsword, a suit of armor, and at last a siege ballista. 6 different weapons fuse into one tangle of metal. This is the true form of the 7th Holy Scripture, the anti-vampire armament carrier built around the sacrament of Cornucanto, the horn of the unicorn.
Blaze, Blade, Drake を補助武装として合成。使用弾頭はコーノカント反応鋼から劣化ウラン弾に変更。テキストスロットは転生期半分から新薬転式に書き換え。あ、照準は手動形式に。自動では彼女に気づかれる。
CL looks down on the bulldozed city as she issues her commands. Her target is at a distance of 500 meters in the park where she left her. Arcuade is still in the process of regenerating. She is slumped over underground, unmoving. Her back appears entirely vulnerable. But at least we're seeing a CL with a newer weapon this time around, right? Any ordinary executor would not hesitate to capitalize on this chance.
まったく、騙し討ちもいいところですね。チャンスと見て仕掛ければ、仕掛けた方が追い詰められる。甘い蜜で誘ってパクリとか食虫植物ですか。
So, is she saying that Arcuade is trying to bait her? The slick red mirror on the ground grows ever wider. Arcuade's transformation is entering its final stage. CL knows through bitter experience that this silence is but the calm before the storm.
蘇生中の守りは万全。下手に傷つければ存在規模が跳ね上がってさらに手に負えなくなる。ここで倒しきるなら仕掛けるのはまだ早い。
CL has served long enough at the burial agency to be considered a veteran executor. While she has never personally fought a fallen true ancestor, that is, one driven mad by vampiric impulses, she has simulated such a battle. The church has clashed with true ancestor royalty several times in the past, and records of their victories still remain. While the documents are centuries old and their relevance to modern day executor is limited, some principles remain timelessly applicable. Face thy foe in overwhelming numbers, establish thy foe's guilt beyond question, ensure thine arms and men are equal to thy foe. Face thy foe armed with thy newest iron, begin the battle only in civilization's bosom. For better or worse, she currently satisfies around a half of those criteria. Alone, she hardly constitutes overwhelming numbers, but at least she is her foe's equal. This is the most important factor to consider when confronting a true ancestor: individual capability. When fighting their own squabbles, humans appoint leaders to transform unremarkable troops into fighting forces, but such an approach will not work on this oldest and greatest of vampires.
他の代行者を気にする必要はない。ここにいるのは私だけなんですから。
The thought is equal parts liberating and terrifying. With no allies to cover her, the slightest mistake will spell defeat.
それと例の戒めですか。
Within the church's extensive battle records, she found a particularly cryptic footnote, unique in its intent as a warning to the reader. After stabilizing the vessel, ensure it is empty at all costs. She still cannot make heads or tails of it. Even casting her mind back to her memories as Roa, she can find no hint as to what this vessel might be nor what emptying it might entail.
普通に考えれば魔力をすべて使わせろですが。
However, for true ancestor royalty, especially Arcuade, purest of them all, there is no such thing as a running out of magical energy. In which case, the statement would resolve to first weaken your foe. Why would so much significance be placed on such obvious advice? But she has no time to dwell on decrypting scripture.
来た。
If Arcuade's phenomenon containment reshapes the world according to her personal desires, she too is reshaped according to the world's desires. The true ancestor is already Earth's own sense of touch. They derive their power from the planet itself, with a capacity equal to the sum of its resources. Thus, to do battle with a true ancestor is to do battle with the very ground on which they stand. Of all these formidable beings, Arcuade Brunstad possesses the highest authority. So long as she retains her connection to the planet, she truly knows no limits. Unlimited magical energy, unlimited physical strength, and powers that only grow in magnitude. Such is the privilege of one who wears the royal name Brunstad. Ordinarily, she would be bound by the dress code, dictating her activities as a true ancestor, prohibiting her from bearing her true form. True ancestors are extensions of the earth itself. Unlike the human race, the notion of using the planet's resources for their own benefit would not or could not occur to them. When Arcuade goes to battle, she is granted precisely the strength and abilities required to eradicate her foe and no more. As the planet's avatar, she has a duty to minimize her strain on its reserves. Countless dead apostles and fallen true ancestors have met their deaths at the hands of her singular might. Who could blame them? She outmatched them by definition. Empowered by the earth on which they dwelled, to incur her wrath is to face a certain death. However, her power has a sole weakness which, if exploited, will decide a battle in CL's favor.
アルクエイドを上回る性能を発揮すれば、アルクエイドはより性能を向上させる。 生中な攻撃、隙を伺う長期戦になればなるほど、彼女は手に負えない怪物になる。だから。
She must end it with a single strike. Can you actually do that though? I think that's impossible. I mean, this Arcuate is insanely strong now. Only once Arcuate's physical vessel has stabilized, certain it has the highest combat parameters in the area. Should CL rain down overwhelming firepower to wipe her from the face of the earth. Her strategy is simplicity itself. The execution, however, is nearly beyond the realm of human ability.
この領域にいる以上、私の力はもう測られている。蘇生を終えた時、私と第7聖典の合計値を基準に力の上限を変えてくる。それがあなたにとって最大の弱点です。アルクエイド・ブリュンスタット。
CL finalizes her battle plans and takes a deep breath. She can envision a clear path to victory. Her task now is to wrest it into being. She must survive the coming gauntlet long enough to lure her enemy into checkmate. To her surprise, she finds herself afraid. She had thought such emotions lost with her mortality. Arcuate, however, could subject her to any number of fates worse than death. If she were to be plunged into that swirling vortex of phenomena, there would be no way back. CL would be trapped within Arcuate's shadow, powerless to influence the following catastrophe she wreaks upon the world. And she would be forced to watch the vampire devour the man she loves in a rabid bloodlust. She can imagine no greater fear, no greater regret. She estimates her chance of victory at less than 30%. If at any point her plans go awry, Arcuate will kill her in an instant.
でも
The executor breathes in deep and raises her head. Where once she sought death, she now fears it. Now that she has found a reason to carry on,
これが生きるということでした。
so she will chew through solid rock if she must. Arcuate's resurrection reaches completion. The seventh holy scripture finalizes its transformation. CL takes up the siege ballistas and channels every ounce of her magical energy into it.
主の皆において、第7の神よ、来よ。
Oh, it's actually a bow still? Look at that. Yeah, I thought it was like claws or whatever, but it's still a bow. It's just a different look. Death by execution, the holy scripture steers with the power to shatter a soul. CL looks once at her target, then closes her eyes. One glance was enough to establish a trajectory. She need only look again when it comes to fire. She switched to manual targeting precisely to avoid aiming at Arcuate until the very last moment. Locking on for so much as a second would alert her foe to her presence. Should it happen, the battle would be good as over. Her only choice is to track Arcuate through her subconscious. The notion borders on absurdity. The nature of marksmanship is to cease breathing, become one with a weapon, predict the target's movement, and follow them by eyesight. Observation of one's prey outside of their effective range is not only a necessary condition, but the hunter's greatest advantage. One that is lost to Ciel. Instead, she is attempting to perform a long-range execution on a target she cannot see or even sense. How is this any different to firing wildly from the hip? The answer lies in the weapon. Her great bow is no simple trigger-operated machine. It is the root of a spirit tree, feeding on Ciel's magical energy to grow to monstrous proportions. Even now, half of her nervous system is devoted to stabilizing the forces swelling within its frame. The other half is spent restraining the gospel, intoned by its surgical magical energy. She mentally tracks her dwindling magical energy reserves while holding her bow in check with a sheer muscle as it bucks in her hands like a raging bull. Simply maintaining her stance is a feat of extraordinary precision, an act of formidable control. It is akin to firing a battleship's cannon on her own, performing every step with her bare hands. A split second before release, she exhales long and slow. Nerves she feels, but not doubt. Her maximum firing range is 5 kilometers. Next to that, a 500-meter shot is no more challenging than threading a bullet through the eye of the needle. Through her gloves, she feels the weight of her bow down to the gram. She takes note of the wind direction, her own physical condition, the rhythm of her heart. Minute adjustments to her muscle fibers account for each. In that moment, a true miracle graced the world. Did Ciel do it? She whom the Holy Church called their bow. She whom even the burial agency, that devil's den, thought an anomaly unleashes her magnus opus. 0.2 pass from draw to hold to release. Death given flight pierces a true ancestor's skull before its messenger even registers it's leaving her hand. Such an unexpected upset Arcuade could never accept. After all, she held the world in her grasp. She had been preoccupied, drawing on the planet's life force to replenish what her vessel lost when its throat was cut. Yet even as she lay motionless, she saw it all. She watched 2 humans scurry away like insects, watched one climb a high tower, watched it produce a poison needle, measured its strength, gauged the threat it posed. The instant she moved, it would answer her. So she believed in truth the distance gnat emitted no telltale surge of hostility. Thus she chose to wake. Replete with power, she severed her connection to the planet and stepped forward to welcome the coming sport. In that moment came the bolt from the blue. The arrow punched through her head, not as her foot left the ground, but as the impulse was hatched in her brain. An arithmetic shot of incomparable skill launched from the subconscious of a peerless marksman. Arcuade may be the planet's own self, but she's not a god. As long as her foe is human, she cannot be fully divine. Her consciousness remained undefended, and now the bow of the church has shorn it away. She cocks the hammer, pulls back the bowstring. The hit to the true ancestor's head did not fell her, nor did Ciel intend it to. She first targeted Arcuade's conscious mind. Now she will destroy the true ancestor's body before she regains the capacity for thought. Such is her path to victory. 2 shots, not 1. If CL had poured all of her strength into a single arrow, Arcuade would surely have detected it, subconsciously aimed, or no. For her first shot, she had to compress her magical energy into the finest motion, the briefest moment. Her plan has only one potential flaw, the possibility that her target never relied on thought. Having abandoned reason for brute savagery, her mind as immaculate as driven snow. CL's reflexes kick in before she can think. The 500 meters between them are worth nothing. In the blink of an eye, the beautiful beast is on her. CL drops the twisted remains of her bow, and just like that she lost. Breathing heavily, she peers down from the edge of the roof to assess Arcuade's condition. Her second shot made it by a hair's breadth. Fired from almost point-blank range, it sent Arcuade crashing back to Earth. So she actually hit her again though, okay. It was not, however, the coup de grace she had hoped for. All she did was line up the sights and blindly release the bowstring. It was pure chance that her arrow hit the mark, and even then, it only landed a glancing blow. That one shot housed all of her magical energy, but it merely repelled Arcuade, where had it struck home, it should have annihilated her. CL catches her breath and the last retrieves her weapons. Mangled by Arcuade's claws, the ballista is no longer used to her. She will have to rely on her remaining armaments, her assault rifle, the first cause of death, and her stake driver, a combination of the third and fourth. But her magical energy reserves have run all but dry. Even an ordinary mage can generate 20 units of magical energy, CL can generate 5,000. She poured every last drop of her formidable reservoir into one single shot and missed. The mental toll of the error is incalculable.
無傷。今ので無傷ですか、アルクエイド。
Far below, the true ancestors picked herself up from the wreckage of all collapsed buildings. For a moment, CL's courage fails her. It's hopeless. This fight is hopeless. Just run. There's gotta be another way, something you haven't tried yet. Death is terrifying enough, let alone what Arcuade could do to you, so just run. There's still time. Do it now. Take his hand and run for all you're worth.
いいえ、それだけは決して。勝負はここからです、アルクエイド。他のことならともかく、彼のことであなたには負けられない。
Steeling herself in the face of death, CL unveils her final gambit. She retrieves the apple concealed in her stake driver, a pulsing red fruit glistening like congealed blood. This is the last vestige of Love Archangel's curse. His idea of blood, his blight upon the world made manifest. But she ate it?
グローブの原理は育ちきっていない。これを口にしても新しい大魔術は編み出せない。けれど
Even in this formless state, it can still serve as fuel. Three principles steer to life within CL's flesh. With Vlov's idea blood acting as her new reactor core, her magical energy rapidly replenishes. She will pay the price later. When the shock catches up with her body, it will be a further step on her fall from human to monster.
セットコードガルガリ
She raises her hand to the highest heavens. If that is the cost, I'll pay it gladly, she thinks as she leaps into the night. Dust arises from the gorge between the buildings ahead. One last hell to brave where all that awaits is death and a pale vampire's sneer.
グローブの原理が燃え尽きるまで3分弱せめてそれまでは持たせてみせる
Trailing excess magical energy like a stream of blood, the Executor plunges into her final battle. What is this music though? Several minutes before the firing of the seventh holy scripture, at the heart of the distorting phenomena, the city dissolves, the city disintegrates, as though rejecting all of human history and technology, as though returning to Earth to its natural state. The vortex of phenomena opens its maw to swallow the rude paradigm squatting on the planet's surface. She looks on indifferently. She feels neither pleasure nor guilt. Her thoughts are elsewhere, occupied by a single human. It's probably Shiki, right? I'll kill Shiki. I love Shiki. I want Shiki. I hate Shiki. I'll kill Shiki. I love Shiki. I want Shiki. I hate Shiki. I'll kill Shiki. I love Shiki. I want Shiki. The pain of decapitation has long since faded. It is what came before it that torments her now. A loss more bitter than death. Her whole life she believed she wanted for nothing. All lay within reach, should she care to grasp it. But in truth, her omnipotence was simple conceit. Only when she turned her down did she realize she had never possessed anything at all. For a moment, she even forgot that she was a true ancestor. Pain, heartache, hatred, and grief blazed in her blood, but none held a candle to her anger. So she screamed, heedless of the true ancestor's code, heedless of the burden she imposed on the earth. I'll kill you. And she bent the world to her will, through sheer rage. An act befitting a human, not an avatar of the planet. In disgracing her station, she forfeited the rank of true ancestor. A part of her grieves that lost sorely. A part of her weeps and wails, protesting that if she only had remained alone, she would never have developed a human heart. But nowhere does she regret her fall from grace. Her screams was fueled by anger, but its aftertaste is that of joy. For how delightful this is, how novel. The causes of her downfall is clear as day. Is it Roa's deception now 800 years past? No, the breakdown he provoked was purely subconscious. There was no emotion in her ensuing rampage. This time, the change in her is more fundamental. Her first taste of emotion's sweet sting, a rainbow-hued dessert formed of the pleasures and pains of the heart. Something born not of the planet but of her own breast, and all the more precious for it. I love him. I love him. The thought alone sets the sky, night, a glimmer. She had thanked the true ancestors for siring her. But the human who had given her what she never dreamed of having would award tore her down to her former self. An all-powerful tool meant only to be used and worth nothing otherwise. In that moment, her inner world turned on its head, and so too did the outer world. She had been denied all that she wanted, so she denied all in turn. Her grief turned to fury, her love to hate. Thus she cast aside her newborn emotions. In their absence, only her original duty was left. Her first and only objective, Roa. I hate Roa, I'll kill him. For 800 years, she has nursed these feelings. She need only do as they bid, and urge to scream will eventually fade.
So, 私はロアが憎い。ロアを殺す。が好き。が欲しい。ロアが憎い。ロアを殺す。四季が好き。四季が欲しい。四季が憎い。四季が欲しい。四季が嫌い。大嫌い。
Her mind grows muddled. Her thoughts came loose at the spine. The closer she looks, the more confused they become. So she decides to stop thinking. Considering her feelings, considering his feelings will only disorient her. She regresses to a more primal, more innocent form, pursuing her desires with the selfish abandon of a wild beast. She lifts her head, her regeneration complete. Her understanding of the surrounding world is total. The city's structure, her escape, prey's whereabouts, the location of the insect lying in wait, she has it all at her fingertips. It's a fine day for a hunt. Smiling at the thought of the coming massacre, she takes a step forward. She shoves a rocky slab aside and climbs to her feet. Struck by Ciel's arrow, she reflexively counterattacked, only to be shot down by a second. It was not confusion that flashed through her mind when the first arrow hit its mark, but the instinct to retaliate. She had resolved, after all, to be true to her desires. A subconscious response to a subconscious attack. Now, 2 seconds later, she comes to finding herself digging her way out of a mound of rubble. A dash of a new color swells in her anger, clouded heart. With a sigh, she looks up at Ciel atop a tower stone. But this insidious pest had to ruin it. She's trying to upstage Arcuade in her moment of triumph. Flashing her enemy with a smile, she advances with purpose. Her every graceful step shrinks another 10 meters to nothing. She's bound for the southwest corner of the city. Her goal, needless to say, is a tiny school building holding out against her phenomenon containment like a puddle of water in an oil slick. 1.5 kilometers separated her from the school. An ideal evening stroll at this rate, she will be there in 2 minutes. The school is quiet. It's been a few minutes since CL left. I draw my knife and take a few deep breaths, trying to ward off my headache and brace for what's coming next. CL will keep her word. If she said she'll keep me safe, I know she'll stop at nothing to protect me. Unfortunately, I'm just as stubborn. I don't want to lose her any more than she wants to lose me.
そうだよな。何を弱気になってるんだ、俺は。
I've got to start thinking about my next move. Even if I can leave the school, there's got to be something better I can do than sit here twiddling my thumbs. A sudden thought sends me running up the stairs. In here, I'm as good as blind to the outside world. But from the roof, I can at least get some idea of what's going on.
先輩は必ず戻ってくる。お前との決着はその後だ、ロア。
Then I'll have one less desperate gamble to make. My odds of survival are low. Chances are my idea won't even work. Still, it's my only shot. You were given those eyes for a reason. A time will come when I have to make use of them. Somebody once told me that long ago. Honestly, she just had a cameo in this game, right? I wish that maybe she appears at the ending. But probably not.
ああ、そうだったわ。なら今がその時だ。きっとこれが俺の役割だったんですよ、先生。
Would be nice though, right? But yeah, nah. I swallow my fear and still my resolve. That's what this knife is for. Whispering a brief farewell to the time I've been given and the people who stood by me, I open the door to the roof. I emerge onto the rooftop. The clamor of the city is long gone now. Even the wind is still. The world is perfectly silent. Robbed of the facades that gave them purpose, the buildings loom like gravestones. I look toward the business district a kilometer away. The central park seems devoid of activity. Is their battle already over, or is it yet to start? The night strengthens my vampiric eyesight several times over. The park is too far to see even if I squint, but I should be able to get a sense of the general. A blast of light illuminates the town, but I like how we're seeing the perspectives of like 3 different characters. CL earlier, and then Arku Wade, and now Shiki. CL is the first to strike. First, she opens up her foe from long range with a marksman headshot, but as she knocks the next arrow to demolish Arku Wade's body, a sudden explosion consumes her perch. That must be Arku Wade retaliating. She launched herself that far in the second it took CL to draw another arrow.
でも相打ちだ。負けてない。
Their battle becomes a brutal melee. CL pushes her assault rifle and stake driver to their limits, trying to hold Arku Wade's imperious advance. Less than a minute passes in real time, but to me it feels like an hour. CL is holding nothing back. She wages total war, putting her body through an ordeal that makes fighting Vlov look like a warm-up. But our Kuwait just keeps walking. Ciel's own flesh raptures under her frenzied assault, but it seems to affect our Kuwait no more than a light breeze. Again and again, her blood sprays and her bones shatter. Her rifle rains bullets, her formulae detonate, and her serpentine sword swings with that resolve. And faced with Ciel's mightiest efforts, our Kuwait brushes her aside with one arm.
その失望は間違ってる。ここは感動する場面。今の姫君に腕を震わせると称賛にあまりある。
My mind freezes over in a shock. There's no one in the vicinity. No clamor of life arises from the hollow city. But I know where the voice is coming from. This signal exists solely within my brain, which means it can only be Roa's will. The question is why I can hear it so clearly now. Perhaps it just means that my time is up. This is no time to be conversing with voices in my head. Ciel has been incapacitated. Blows forceful enough to reshape the city strikes her again and again. Immortal or not, she's going to be beaten into a bloody pulp if this keeps up.
"誇り得る。
何が素晴らしいんだ。いい加減黙ってろ。お前に先輩の何がわかる。
I snap at my own confused delusions. Ciel's suffering is none of his business. And yet, he replies to me with all sincerity.
状況を把握していないのはそちらの方だ。あの空を見るがいい。
空。
Aquasizing? How do you say that? To the stranger's voice in my head, I look up into the blackness.
なんだあれ。
50 kilometers overhead, great wheels glimmer in the stratosphere. The train of stars gleams like the blade of a guillotine as the sun lights sets it aflame. Blazes, the firing lines converge on the pale avatar. A barrage of 7.62mm rounds, each powerful enough to blow a human limb from limb, licks at the vampire's lit body. It's nothing, look at that. It's not even affecting her. The bullets might as well be drops of rain. In Arcoade's presence, reality itself distorts. Her internal mass, that magical energy known to mages as mana, swirls in great enough volume to warp gravity. Space bends to snatch Ciel's bullet from their course. Not that they would have any effect if they didn't meet their mark. What nightmare is this, where unprotected flesh can deflect 7.62mm rounds with ease? What the hell is she made of? Blaze's assault gave even Blov pause. He shielded himself by freezing the water vapor in air rather than weather it directly. Arcuate, however, does not so much as dodge. Alarming as it is to contemplate, she might not be aware she's under attack at all. With the fine control granted by her idea blood, Ciel truncates a numerical, magical, or neurological incantation to discharge a surge of electricity. She compasses a spell that would normally take 10 full counts to incant into a single breath, then does it again and again. But while each 2 million volt could blast apart any insulator, they do nothing to Arcuade, and as CL tries and fails to stop her, that town continues to fall under the true ancestor's spell. Whether a manifestation of Arcuade's singular nature, or simply her sheer power of bleeding through, vines spew from her footsteps, spreading out to consume the city. They cover the newly cleared earth, devour its disarray of gravestones, override all trace of civilization with the motive of the primal. CL is sent flying 50 meters. The attack itself is crude, a simple strike with condensed mana. It is its nature, an invisible, imperceptible, natural phenomenon that makes it terrifying. The difference in their standing, their authorities, is too great. CL must dance millimeters from lethal injury, finger permanently pressed to her trigger. Arcuade has no such need of caution or finesse. All she needs to do is direct her ire in CL's direction. The city will do the rest. The air forms great claws to gouge the executor from behind. The vines turn hard as stone to lash at her.
いいのシエル。もっと頑張らないとすぐにゴールに着いちゃうわよ。
The avatar of white laughs as she continues her procession. She skips forward every inch of her body, exuding delight. CL meanwhile is reaching her physical limit. While her magical energy springs forth unabated, the body that houses it is failing. Every few seconds, her legs break, her ribs splinter, her arm snaps under the weight of her 1-ton firearm. Her bones crumble, her flesh tears, her organs rupture quickly enough to outpace her curse of undeath. But I imagine that, right? You still feel all of that though, even though she's immortal, she feels that. But Arcuade's invisible assault and the exertion of evading it wreak havoc on her insides. 1 minute has passed since their battle begun. Only 600 meters now separate Arcuade from the school. With both Blaze and her magecraft proving ineffective, CL forces herself to accept that her current situation, her weapons, is too weak to finish the job. She must abandon a ranged approach. She exchanges cannon for sword. The blade, the third cause of death, exsanguination. Forged from the bones of a phantasmal, its wicked blade is of the same nature as Arcuade. This will not be so easily deflected with CL's magical energy behind it. It could cleave a tank in two. The only problem is its range. Even fully expanded and extended to the limit of its wires, it can reach 30 meters at most. Will she really be able to get that close? The vampire's lips twist into a grin. She senses her foe's intention and dares her to try. The challenge sparks CL to action. She leaps 10 meters in a single bound. In a heartbeat, she closes the distance to Arcuade, her greatsword poised to strike. It does nothing. It does nothing, see? Blade pierces Arcuade's distortion field to sink its saw-like teeth into the vampire's tender skin, but it doesn't draw a single drop of blood. Its weight and magical potency are lessened by the gravitational distortion. CL will have to get closer to land a blow. 10 meters to Arcuade. She can go no closer. The nearer she gets, the more powerful and concentrated the vampire's invisible talons become. In her present state, Arcuade is a mana singularity, an enormous volume of magical energy condensed in a tiny vessel. Mana enough to form a world unto itself, even if only in conceptual terms, rages within her body as though she were a living star, its colossal mass compressed into a single point. It's a wonder she hasn't undergone cosmic inflation already. To approach would be to enter the gravity well of a star. No human could survive the crushing pressure.
それでも近づくしかないでしょ。ほら早く私を止めてみせてよシエル。
CL intensifies the magical energy surging through her veins, turning herself into living steel. Her sword snakes out in the blink of an eye, and Arcuade's automated defenses knock it aside. Blue sparks spray as the heat of their contest sets the very air ablaze. Around them, ether decomposes on a molecular level. As their battlefield transforms into an ionized death zone, CL glances toward the school. 400 meters left, approximately 2 minutes gone. Arcuade's pace has slowed considerably compared to the first minute. It's working, she's pushing her back.
なんて思った？鉄みたいに頑丈でつまらない女だと思ったけど、案外可愛いところがあるのね、シエル。
Arcuade halts her advance. She raises a hand to the sky. Sensing danger, CL vaults backwards. She knows it would be unwise to stay on the offensive. For the first time since their battle began, Arcuade has acted with direct hostility. The instant she moved, CL understood her intent, but that knowledge brings her only despair. 400 meters is nothing to Arcuade. She's already gotten as close as she needs. Lowering her stance, CL snaps her sword back into one piece. Satisfied that her rival has finished her preparations, Arcuade lets her arm fall. The blast wave raises everything in its path. Its fury is the planet's own breath, a fraction of the Earth's rotation, harnessed and redirected. CL meets it with her blade and endures. Her body screams. It has been screaming all along, though merely in pain. This time, her very bones are sounding the alarm. You're lucky you survived that, they say. You can take another, it will annihilate the foundation of your being. Even you can't come back from that.
黙っててよ。分かってから。
She bites her lip to quell her fear, girding herself for the next wave. It wouldn't be hard to evade, she's too nimble to be hit by such a clumsy strike. But behind her are the school and Shiki. The blast wave would sweep across the town like a sight if she let it, obliterating them in an instant. So she cannot yield, no matter what, she must stand against the breath of the planet and prevail.
す ごいシエルすごいねえどうなってるのシエルこれでもちぎれないなんてどこまで耐えられるのシエル
Again and again, the blast wave comes without respite. The first she took on account of reckless desperation. The second she takes on account of arrogance. And the third and fourth prove that the second was no show of arrogance after all. By the time the fifth comes, she understands. Arcoade's attacks are formidable, but so long as CL can read the flow of power, she can easily deflect them. The princess employs no feints or subtlety on the battlefield, a testament to her honest nature. CL sends as much in the first wave. In facing the second, she was able to leverage her swordsmanship to weather it, not with strength but with skill. When fighting a powerful foe, her mentor once told her she must think not with her mind but with her bones. Thanks to that advice, she has withstood Arcoade's full strength. The clock hits 3 minutes, then marks the end of CL's battle.
つまらない飽きた
Arcoade lowers her arm. The odds would be in her favor if she continued her barrage, but her impatience will not allow it. Her overwhelming desire to kill Shiki compels her to remove CL from her path as quickly as possible. This is only a game to her. All that matters is that it continues to amuse.
そうですかでは僭越ながら次はこちらが趣向を凝らしましょう
The hunter becomes the hunted. Arcoade is just as seasoned a vampire as CL. Experience tells her that there is no lie in her enemy's words. She means to deliver a killing blow.
それは楽しみね私の息吹を受けたご褒美に見てあげるでそんなご大層な武器はどこにあるのもしかしてその杭打ち機戦車にでも変形するのまさか武器なんて必要ありませんあなたを殺すのはあなた自身ですよアルクエイドなんですって常に相手を上回るのは結構ですが後出しなのがあなたの弱点ですそれと目も悪いですね地上は把握できても空までは把握できない
Arcoade looks up at the sky. To find CL in firm grasp of the
こ
heavens.
の通り武器はとっくに準備済みです
Okay, let's take a break there. Jesus Christ, man, this battle is so long. It's insane the things that's happening, right? I mean, Shiki's still not doing anything, he's still watching. But the battle between these two, like a lot of new stuff has been shown compared to what we saw already. So that was pretty nice, alright? So anyways, we are gonna continue this and do more of Tsukihime, a piece of Blue Glass Moon in the next one. So I'll just see you then. Bye bye.